Hey, welcome to another episode or video where I talk about books I've read this week. And I've read about a few, yeah, pretty much a few. So let's get to it. The first book I read was a book called Hero by Perry Moore. Now it's about a boy has who comes from a pretty dysfunctional family. His mom disappeared, and his dad is a former superhero. Where an incident happened, and he had his hand mangled, and he works at a factory. And well, his father is a hero, but he doesn't have any superpowers. But he gets there. He does the job. He gets the job done whenever there's danger because of sheer willpower and good old fashioned, strength. Not superpower strength, but you know, good old fashioned like heroism, and it comes from his heart pretty much. And after an incident, not only does he like get off the hero squad, but the the hero place where they have the heroes come in and they recruit new ones. The new rule is nobody who has like no, not anybody can join. Like for example, not any person who doesn't have any powers can join because of his father and what happened. And it pretty much got a lot of people killed, but it could have been a whole lot worse. The lives of many outweigh the lives of the few. I think that's how it goes. I'm not sure how it went, but so his this is pretty much like the kid story. His name is Tom Creed, and he is prone to like sickness, like seizures and whatnot. And he has this. He is also gay, and he doesn't want his father to know because he doesn't want his father to be disappointed in him. I mean, his father pretty much is like you could see that his father is wondering some things about him, but at the same time he doesn't want it out there. And so one day he decides to like be a member of this superhero league, and he doesn't want his father to know because past incidences, and so he gets recruited. Well, not recruited, but they have tryouts, and he encounters people like a psychic, a person who can set themselves on fire, person who can who all they have to do is touch somebody and the person gets sick, and this ragtag team of misfits who who are very different, but they all respect each other, even if it takes a while for them to grow with each other. And at the same time, the main character Tom is looking at this very attractive young man who we meet at the beginning of the book, and his power is healing, which actually is kind of amazing considering if I had a superpower, it would be healing. Second would be teleportation, but that's neither here or there. But anyway, yeah, it shows that he just wants to have a purpose in life, and he just wants to help people, and he can do that. He's halfway there. He's helped a couple of people in terms of healing, because that's pretty much his power, and everybody else in terms of fighting. But he's more of a defense, and it's not explicitly like that's pretty much what it is. Like healing is a defense, but it no here like healing for him is pretty much a support, and that's pretty much how it is. And so when reading this for the second time, I genuinely liked it the second time around. Like, yeah, it's funny, it's snarky, and it really gets really sad and emotional, especially when you realize you know even superheroes are very vulnerable and want to help, and sometimes they can't do everything, and sometimes there are sacrifices that have been made that might hurt people in the end. And sometimes you have to sometimes people just don't want help, so they have to push the people away. And sometimes you just sometimes we all have that instinct, like whether we're heroes or not, or regular people, we're all heroes. But whether we're heroes or regular people, this book actually pretty much goes to show you know everyone has a purpose in life, and you just can't give up on the ones you love, even if things are starting to fall apart. And this book teaches you that even the meanest people have a Freudian excuse, even if they're a jerk. So yeah, I recommend this book, written by Perry Moore. It's a pretty good debut novel, and I'm pretty sure like I haven't read any of his other books, and unfortunately, if I ever read any of the books, there's only so many since he passed away a few years ago. But yeah, I'd read this again. It's a light recommend, and if you again a great debut and a good superhero movie, but it's also kind of a pretty damn good coming out slash LGBTQ story. And another book that I've read this week is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. Now this is pretty much this takes place around a couple of days. I think a day, like a couple of days or 3 days. So three friends are at a con. One of them is a YouTuber slash movie actress, and the other two are her friends. So it's like her and the two friends, and she is making the rounds to promote her movie, and she actually bumps into her co-star who actually was dating at one point, but then he cheated on her, and she didn't want to see him again. But at the same, like they kept it kind of under wraps, but at the same time, it's like, okay, the movie he was shooting kind of got pushed back, so he's going to be here at the con. So you have to act like a couple and actually act like you're just for like play it along for the shippers who are like, oh, we love these two so much, you should get back together. Like get that ship across just for box office numbers. And what not many not no what nobody knows is that the actress in this movie is bisexual, and she comes across this other YouTuber who she likes, and apparently she likes back. And meanwhile, at another store with her two friends, they're pretty much trying to figure out um, what feelings they have towards each other, because they're both heading to college. Yeah, pretty much all three of them are heading to college. She has feelings for him, but like he hides it. He kind of hides it, but he wants to do anything for her because she suffers from depression and anxiety, and she's trying to figure herself out. She's not really confident about who she is, and it's more like she's trying to get over it. She's trying to get that hurdle by going through this con, and it's pretty much like, oh, a mini will they, won't they? But we all know that they will, because there's no real surprises. This book is just how everything feels, like how it feels to be like in a con, and like this is pretty much like a love story at Comic Con. Like this is a love letter at Comic Con, and not I've never been to Comic Con, but this is pretty much a love story. It's an LGBTQ story, and it's pretty much like it's from two characters, the point of view of two characters, the two girls, the actress and her friend. The guy who likes the her friends. Okay, hold on. Let me start again. There's no point of view from the guy. It's just the two girls, and I appreciate that because three at a time, like 3 points of view is like but it's nice to actually just get the girl's point of view. Like yeah, it could have been nice for the guy's point of view, but as it is, it's fine. Like again, like I said, this book doesn't pull any like this book gets very emotional, and it actually hits the people who suffer from anxiety or depression or obsessive compulsive disorder or body image issues, and this pretty much directs like you can like if you suffer from those issues, this book actually kind of helps you a little bit. It like tells us like there are some days that are worse than others, but everybody survives and can get through it with the right help of friends and family. And this book actually is very good at like seeing how it is. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Um, yeah, this book is actually a really good book, and it's from the Swoon Reads community. I don't know what that is. I'm pretty sure it's like a lightweight book series. But again, this doesn't have many surprises. It goes exactly where you think it's gonna go. But at the same time, I really like this book because it made me feel good. It actually made me laugh. It actually makes me laugh, and yeah, it actually has some emotional value, even if it's kind of by the numbers at times. And so again, if you are a big fan, if you are a fan of just feelings toward in books, like I know if you're a bookworm and you like have feelings for characters, this is the book for you. If like there's no real surprises. It goes exactly where you go. It goes. Just read this and just have a good time. Like yeah, there's some moments of melodrama here and there, but you know what? It's just about the feel. It just makes you like feel good about things, about the characters, about the setting, and about the things you love, whether it's with people or the shows that you love or watch and can recite endlessly. And yeah, Queens of Geek is a great book which I've read for the second time now. Now another book which I've read this week is a book called The Hike by Drew Margury. I think I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly. Now I borrowed this book from the library a few years ago, and it was on the library's top pick of the month. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna pick this up. I guess it seems interesting enough. And I remember like leaving it kind of to the last minute because I had other books to read, and then I got okay, what's this book? And then I started reading it was near the end of a workday, and I the first I don't know 8 pages. Yeah, the first 8 or 10 pages I wasn't that interested in, so I'm like, okay, I'll just read the rest tomorrow or something. And then the next morning I actually got on the bus on my way to work and I read it, and I'm like, okay, this is okay. And then I was like, okay, let's see what this is. Okay. Okay. Oh my god! Oh my. Okay. And then by the end of the book, I read the entire rest of the book before work started. I read the rest of the book when I was in my locker. I'm like, oh my god, this is actually getting better and better. So I don't want to spoil anything just in case anybody would like to read this book, because this isn't a library book. I bought this a couple years ago because I like the book so much. So what I'm going to say is that this is a male version of Alice in Wonderland for the early aughts. Early aughts, I think. I'm pretty sure. What did this come out? Yeah, 20. This is a 2-year-old book. So I first read this book back when it was new. This is 2 years old. It's 2019, but right now it's just 2 years old. It's just almost going to be 3 soon. It's going to be 3 years old soon. And I like to say that this is a male version of Alice in Wonderland in the 2010s, because it takes some weird turns. Okay, so the protagonist is a man named Ben who actually has to go to a work meeting, so he goes to a hike when he's at a work meeting. He has to go somewhere and it's snowy. He has to go to this cottage where his workplace is, and then he decides to go on this hike, and then he sees something, and he runs away, and he gets lost, and then I don't want to spoil it for you because it goes off the rails. It involves a talking crab getting into a fight with an worldly being and a pirate from years ago. And it's been said that this particular hike, this particular thing, has happened many, many times before, and to many people. And oh my god! I don't want to spoil it. This book is something you should, if you really like. I don't want to spoil it, but if you really like Odysseys, if you really like the kind of Odysseys I don't know, the Odyssey, I don't know, but this is an Odyssey-like book. Alice in Wonderland with a male as the protagonist, and it's for the 2016, 2010s, whatever. But this has become one of my favorite books. By the second time, oh sorry, bookmark. When I read it the first time, I'm like, oh my god. By the second time, I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually picking up on things that I actually like. And the third time, I'm like, oh my god, this is actually much more fresh than I actually remembered. But again, I don't want to give away anything in terms of the summary because you just have to read this book. Just read this book. I know, like I said, the first chapter was a bit dull for me, but that was probably because I was really tired. And then by the time I got to the rest of the book, I'm like really on the edge of my seat to the point where I actually at one point forgot to, when I actually read some of this at the restaurant I hang out at whenever I have to go to work or I have just to walk away. It's like I actually forgot to like order something to drink as I usually do. That the book is that good, and I actually did. First time I read it, the book was so good. Not only did I almost forget to order a drink, but I actually never didn't even use my phone because I was so invested in this book and this character and how the adventure goes. Like this is really funny, really intense, and like really weird. You know? It's that combination where I'm like, oh okay, this is good. To the point where when I read his other book, The Post Mortal, I didn't really care all that much because the hike actually pretty much set my standard for this what was it? This author to a new high, and it's really, really nice. This is a really nice book. I strongly recommend anybody who actually is into like weird things like talking animals and like okay, that's all I gotta say. Talking animals like a crab and like Alice in Wonderland Odyssey or whatever. But again, the Hype by Drew Marjorie recommend completely. And the last book I read this week was I Drink for a Reason by David Cross, which is pretty much I don't know journal entries. In this point, it's pretty much like think of it as him doing stand-up comedy and then writing it in a book. That's pretty much it. And I had a few chuckles out of it. I do like David Cross. I think he's a very funny comedian, like Mr. Show and Arrested Development. And he's not that much of a mainstream. He's a person who I know is mainstream, but at the same time still underground. And so this book actually pretty much certifies that he can go mainstream. It's just that people still haven't heard of him, or a few people still haven't heard of him. But I think this book is okay. Like he talks about religion. He talks about like the religion part. I thought was it was okay, not that well, but when he goes into topic tangents, like when he goes into stream of consciousness, like dissing Larry the Cable Guy. He actually has several lists that he makes up about like what to do whenever something happens. Ordering stuff online, going to a party and being bored, asking why rich people are so boring. Even like it's like, oh, you bought all this crap and you're still boring. Why not just pick a species and make it extinct? Like pick a species, gather all the things from that species and kill it, making it endangered. And I thought those were the funniest part of this book. And like 70 or 60%, 65 or 70% of this book is really funny. The rest are religion jokes, like Jewish jokes, which I don't know. I actually don't know much about religion, Jewish religion or Jewish agriculture, except for maybe some clip notes I got from high school. But like if you're a David Cross fan, I'd recommend this. Like this is my second time reading it, and I put it in my favorites mostly because the jokes that made me laugh really made me laugh. Like there was a part about Bill O'Reilly, and then there was this whole spiel about Jim Belushi. A couple of those are made up, which by his admission he makes up because there are people out there who would actually take him seriously. But he is bred into the realm of sarcasm like a lot, and it's nothing like his Arrested Development character. And yeah, if you like David Cross, I suggest reading this. As for me, I'm not going to read this for a long while, mostly because some of the jokes kind of like aren't for me, and he gets really angry at some points, but hipster like this. He calls himself a hipster comedian, but it's whatever. I still like him. I'll watch a stand-up comedy. It's just that I just need to get the context because I don't know his voice all that much, but I like his stand-up comedy. And again, if you're a David Cross fan or an underground comedian fan, I recommend this. And that should do it for the books I've read. Sorry that they were so little this time, but 4 books is enough, and okay, 4 books isn't enough. Some people could read like 7 or 8 books in a week. I could do that, but you know, I don't have books that are under 100 pages, and the books that I really like are over 300 pages. What can you do? Also, I'm writing, so I'm writing out of. Never mind. But thank you for watching, and I will see you the next book reading thing. So, thank you.